Hey, good evening, everyone. Special podcast tonight. Those special episode. We're going to discuss the cost of some of these places that have recently been purchased, or they just want an outrageous amount for paranormal investigators to come in and do some stuff. So that's going to be uh, Jason, and Jason Wilkerson said he'd come in and chat with us about it too. So that's what we're going to be chatting about tonight on Unraveling the Darkness. Hey, good evening, Jason.
Hey, what's up, brother? How we doing?
Not too much. I'm good. Hey, just saw some stuff today, and it's been going on the last couple days. Hit you up, said, "Hey, let's do this," and you're like, "Yeah," and I was
Yeah.
like, "Cool." Like,
Yep.
this isn't going to be the typical podcast that you see from us. Um, we like to interview people and hear people's stories, and as investigators, that's what we do, right? We walk into a place and we investigate, and we hear a story. But
Yep.
to get into that place,
Is a whole nother story.
that's a
Yep.
whole nother story. Yeah. We have Jason Wilkerson. Jason was with us a couple months ago and we interviewed him and had a great night. And he's like, "Hey, I'm down." Um, so yeah, we're going to bring him in and we'll get started here.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hey, good evening, Jason. How's it going?
Hey, Aaron. Hey, Jason, my other brother, Jason.
Yeah, man. Good to have you back on.
Hey, thanks for letting me come in, guys.
Hey, you bet. We've seen a lot of stuff for a while, with like the Haunted Museum in Vegas and now the Warren Occult Museum and the Warren's house. A lot of people know Ed Rife, or Matt Rife bought that last month, him and one of his buddies, and they are now the overseers of the Occult Museum. They made it available to people to investigate. They opened up 100 nights. So I don't know when those start. I could probably go back in here and look real quick, but as of when I looked a few hours ago, all 100 nights are sold out.
Yeah, they started on the 5th, and they're all gone.
Yeah.
All
So
gone.
Yeah, I
like
jumped in.
less than a day.
Yeah, I jumped in last night to see pricing of it. I'm glad I jumped in then because now you can't really see the actual rental price. Guys, if you're watching, you have questions or anything to comments, please put them in there so we can address those. The couple of days that I picked, $2,300 a pop
$2,300 for one night.
for one night. You're getting 20 hours, but most of that is going to be in the house. They're allowing you 9:30 to 1:30 in the morning, 9:30 at night till 1:30 in the morning to get into the Occult Museum, guided. And that's just that rental.
Yep. And my question, the first question that comes to mind for me when I saw this, number one, is, what kind of haunting is there in Ed and Lorraine Warren's house? That was supposedly blessed how many times? Very locked down, right, spiritually. And now all of a sudden, I guess I'm not understanding what you're really investigating there.
Right. Shouldn't it just be the Occult Museum that should have the haunted objects and be the haunted part of it?
That's what you think. Yeah.
They've trapped everything in there and it's safe and it's this and that, and now have access to their house and investigate. Investigate what?
I think what a lot of people have been bringing up about the price is it's not such a bad price if you're splitting it between eight people. But the thing is, everybody's got to travel from some other state, I'm sure, unless everybody that booked it's, right there in that area, because you got to fly there, you got to, do everything else you got to do to get there. So by the time you put that out, you're out way more than $2,300.
Yep. Exactly.
Right. and split it amongst your friends, do whatever. It's still $2,300.
Not to
Yeah.
mention, it's hard enough to find somebody to go to a location that charges $300 or $400 a night. Now you're asking 8 people to pay that by themselves to go, and just try to find 7 other people to pay that and say, hey, we need you to fly across the country to come. So
Right.
Yeah, and I mean,
Um,
you're paying, double what someone's mortgage could be just to walk in the door of that place.
exactly.
Yeah. That's it's not just there either. But this one I think is bringing it to the point. Like I was cruising through TikTok today and I saw so many people talking about it, and that's what made me think that we've been some places where we've had to fork out some money, and it's not cheap. There's a difference between a celebrity owning something and asking these outrageous amounts than teams offering something out to the public too.
And
Why is it $2,300? Because
Re-
it's the Warren's place. Like,
reading on the page too that I didn't see that they made a lot of statements on there to make this look like that they're doing everything the right way, but I have a feeling where I didn't see it is somebody is going to sublet that out and have an event there, because there was nothing I saw on the site that showed you couldn't do that.
Interesting.
as you go down and you start looking at some of the stuff in the frequently asked questions, they cover a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, and I'm sure they're going to have that place wired up and cameras everywhere. And if they see more, well, and here's the thing, you get the museum part from 9:31, right? Or 1:30. So there's going to be someone close. And I'm sure that if they think it's going to be anything like that, they're going to be on it so quick.
Yeah, they said there was 2 people from their group watching the entire time anybody's there.
Wow. You're $2,300 a night. And then let's talk about filming. And some of these places have started to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to charge you more if you're going to film. Well, why? Aren't you getting free advertising? Why don't I walk in and charge you for that, for what it takes for us to edit and do all the other stuff for it?
Yep.
And I'm not trying to be the jerk out here that says, this is how it needs to be. But I think there needs to be a little give and take on both sides sometimes.
Well, it's going out filming, whether it be for YouTube or something else, it's mutually beneficial, right? We get to put out content that does whatever, and they get publicity.
Right. So on the filming side, they no drones. We have neighbors. If it's under 3 minutes, you're good. If it's over 3 minutes, they have a media review fee. And they're charging $200 to $500 depending on the length of your stuff. So now you've added another $5, so you're $2,800.
Yep.
Someone earlier that I was watching said it could be up to $4,000 per night there. And I was just like shaking, exactly what you just did. Yeah, I shook my head. I'm like, how? We always hear it in this field. And Jason and I have talked about it, and we got to prove it a little bit a few weeks ago about para-unity. And this, I feel this shows the opposite side of that.
Yeah, it's they put out there a lot of clickbait for you to see on that page. It's like, we're just charging this amount of money to make sure the accuracy of what you're saying in your filming and everything else is accurate to the house. And I'm like, let's be honest, I don't think anything's really accurate when it comes to that place. I mean, I'm not saying the stuff's not haunted, but look, I'm going to state right now that I don't think that Annabelle has ever left the location, because how hard is it to find a Raggedy Ann doll, stick in a box, and take all over the country?
Well, and that's part of what they cover on here and I wish I could have found it beforehand. I may have to look through here. But all the negative connotations about Annabelle not being real or this and that or whatever, that's covered in their filming section as well.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that they're going to
that.
watch. If you said something like that, well, you can't post that.
I mean, please tell me I'm not the only one who didn't see the videos today or yesterday of them taking Annabelle to some place in Maine and Father Bob Bailey walking behind it with his cross. I mean, I was just like, this is the most ridiculous stuff I've ever seen.
Yep, I sent that to Aaron earlier today.
Yeah, they tagged me in it.
I mean,
Or
he was
tagged
doing a
me in it.
he
I
was
like,
doing a
"Oh,
blessing. He was doing a blessing on somebody or everybody, I guess, that wanted to have a picture with Annabelle at the event. I'm like, are we filming a movie here? It's what the movie's like, you know? It's like this ridiculous nonsense that we're watching.
yeah, yep." And yeah, it's not just this place, you know, it's places across the country. You look at somewhere where we were recently, $500 a night, um, full access, which was awesome, but there wasn't even a table for us to put our stuff on. We got a wall plug to put our extension cord into, and
That was it.
have a good night, guys. We
No
did
chairs
two
to
nights.
sit in.
We did 2 nights. Oh, there was chairs in the room, so yeah, we got some chairs. So yeah, there was a great little room off like their main room where they could have done a table and had, you know, electricity right there, and maybe a little fridge with water. Hey, you know, even these guys are giving you water. I'm pointing here because I have it on my other screen.
I mean, even as many times as I've been to the Monroe House, you know, and everybody wants to say the Demon House, whatever you call it, you know, they, as cheap as it is, they always have the refrigerator stocked and have snacks there for you. You know, they're doing it the right way, even though I don't think the house has got too much activity. But
basic essentials and accommodations provided. Holy water, because Hannibal.
Gotta have holy water. Yep.
Bedding,
Only if I can
towels,
have it in
bathroom
the squirt gun.
essentials, drinks and snacks. So even Matt Rife is giving you drinks and snacks.
Yep.
But some of these other places that are charging you half a mortgage to come in for a night.
Well, we've even got that place in Wyoming that you know, used to be very friendly for investigators, and now, you know, they're charging you by the hour per person. And then if you want to film, there's an additional fee for filming. And then on top of the hourly rate they're charging, you have to pay a deposit that doesn't go towards the rate that they're charging. So, yeah, it's like a $250 deposit, and then
$15 per person per hour. 5 hours is all they let you in there. Their person's with you the whole time as you roam around, and you don't get the whole place.
Yeah.
So,
well, the place, you know, there's a couple of places that just opened up. Well, one just opened up, and one's opening up at the end of the month. And I just happened to run by them the other day. One's in Missouri. It's an old sanatorium, and so I sent the guy a message, and I'm like, "What are you charging to open up?" Because it shows right on the Facebook page that they just had vandals and squatters and stuff in there like a week ago.
Wow.
And I'm like, don't you think before you open a place up to the public, you should get everything secured? You know, there's windows broke all through this place. And he said the last 2 weeks of September was $800 a night. Then October goes to 900, and then from then on out, it's $1,000 a night. I'm like, for a place that you got to walk in with security before you even start investigating to make sure there's nobody there.
Make sure your crap doesn't get stolen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a Minnesota Association of Paranormal Study. Holy crap! 20 years ago, they would pay us to come in.
Right.
Yeah. But that's what's happened, you know, the TV shows and all the stuff. And there's good people out there still doing stuff and offering decent prices to get into their place. It's few and far between. I looked, you know, every Labor Day way out west picks a place and we travel to it. And that's kind of our good well, they're all good investigations throughout the year, but this is our travel place, right? We'll go 12 hours is what we've decided.
It's kind of our chance to hit bucket list places for each one of us.
So this past Labor Day, we're in Butte, we're doing Dumas Brothel, and I'm like, okay, we need to start looking now. We each pick a place, we throw it in a hat or we throw it on the spinner, and you know, that's our place. Old Park Hotel in Bollinger, Texas is a pretty cool building. The people that had it were selling it, and they didn't put a price on the building. They had people come through and make them an offer, and they finally sold it to a couple. And they've gone through and done like some good renovations and a new camera system and like a central nerve center. Um, $350 a night. I'm like, that's great. That's
Yeah.
a reasonable price, I feel, for most places,
Oh, definitely.
especially when everyone has to travel to them. So you're already putting out travel money, right? And then you're going to be there the night before, probably the night after. So now you got to get a hotel, or we do an Airbnb where we can all be together and talk about what happened. And, you know, so there are some places out there that are still doing good things and offering up a good price. I think I don't even know who's buying nights here. I haven't seen anyone post anything about it. You know, I have a lot of pages, a lot of teams, a lot of stuff, and I haven't seen anyone say we're doing that. We're doing Warren House.
And there's been some guy, I don't know who he is on TikTok, that's been running through there for the last week. His name is Josh. And I don't know who he is, but he's been inside that place for the last week, showing it off and everything else, and the tunnels getting to the museum and everything else. So I don't know who they have in there, but like you say, if you're spending that kind of money, you want to be putting that stuff out there everywhere, especially unless nobody's going to film, and you know that's not going to happen. Everybody's going to pay their money to film.
Right. Yeah, because they're going to want to get that stuff out there. You know, I've seen posts throughout the day from Ryan Buell. Everyone knows most people, if they watch any of the paranormal shows, anything like that, know Ryan Buell from Paranormal State. And he's been in there helping clean out the place and getting it ready for this stuff to happen.
Yep.
And, you know, him and the Warrens were close. And this, I'm not throwing anything out there as a debate as to what the Warrens did was good or bad or whatever. That's a whole different show. And everyone has their opinions, and
Yep.
it is what it is. Like, so, but yeah, I've seen he's in there, been cleaning it out, and he's been posting a ton of stuff inside the house too. So it's kind of cool to get to see their house, you know, pictures of their house and like some of the stuff that they had, or, you know, the stacks of papers that were probably their research, you know, or whatever they call research. There's, if anything, they did go to some great locations, and many of them were haunted, you know.
Yep.
I do know that's something funny. Maybe it's because I'm old school with investigating, but it's always funny how so many people today want to cause so much trouble with the paranormal, but they like to forgive and forget things in the past. I mean, nobody's in the dark about Ryan Buell's past. You know, it's kind of like him and Brian Harnwell, you know, with Ghost Hunters, they kind of burn their bridges. Well, Brian is no longer around, but here comes Ryan back in. I mean, there's a lot of people that do conventions like that say, hey, I'm going to quit doing conventions. I'm going to quit the paranormal. And then 6 years later, they show back up and everybody welcome. Oh, man, it's good to see you back. And they completely forgive and forget anything.
Yep.
Yeah. Again, this is about locations, and I don't want to burn anybody in particular. That's
sorry.
And it's
I
fine.
apologize.
It's fine. No, I'm just kidding. And that's something we should have covered. Like, you know, we didn't mention a few locations. I mentioned the one that I thought was great. If people are watching and they want to throw out places that they feel are great places, charge a reasonable amount, put them in the comments. We'd be more than happy to check them out and travel to some.
And I think a lot of people. Go ahead.
People's character, it is what it is, and you know they have to live with what they've done. And you know we've all done something in our past that we hope isn't detrimental to us. And you know if people want to open their arms back up to him, then they're the ones that have to deal with that too.
Well, we're paranormal investigators, so the whole thing about our thing is research, and that's what I don't understand about people. Research the property before you go. Research the place. You know, the other place I was going to talk about is Toledo, Ohio, a funeral home that just closed, just had their last funeral July 31st. A guy took it over and now is opening it up for paranormal investigations and put a tattoo parlor in there. And I'm like, you literally just had a cold body in there 2 months ago, and now you're already opening the place back up.
That's rough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing. Okay. We all look at these historic locations and all these things that are, you know, what? Well, now we can't even say 50. That puts it to the 70s. Now I'm aging myself. But we look at all these locations that are 100 years old or more, and they're haunted. But what says that something that's 20 years old now isn't? And it can
Right.
be. And
Oh,
but how do you tactfully, and now you have to look at the business that was in there, right? Because now we're looking at a regular business that can be haunted and a funeral home.
well, the
2
comments
months
on it
ago.
cracked me up because everybody's like, oh, it was always creepy when I was in there because I had a family. I'm like, you're at a funeral home. Why wouldn't it be creepy? You're in there with dead bodies, so why wouldn't it be?
Right. Locations we are recommending. I want to go to Old Park Hotel, and $350 a night I feel is reasonable. For us, it all comes down to what we can afford. As a team, we do events. People ask us, why are you charging this? Well, we have a building, we have our equipment, we have batteries, we have our expertise that we're giving you, and the time, and probably a building that you're probably just isn't able to get into all the time too. So that's and that's what we have to offer, and we feel we put out a product, because that's what you're doing, right? You're putting out a
Yep.
product that people want to purchase. We feel that we put out a good product. We offer snacks and drinks at everything that we do, and that's where I see a difference between putting on an event for the public and offering up a location.
Right. Well, an event is an experience, right? You're meeting the people. Like you said, you're getting people's time, experience. That's your chance to learn about investigating, and then getting a location. I mean, you're getting an empty building, and you're paying, like we talked about. Usually it's 500 to 1,000 a night. Starting to be the average.
Right.
And you do see some of these places. I'm sure you guys are not in the midst of this, but you do see some of these places that would charge $300 a night, which normally somebody will go and investigate because it's cheap. But you see one of these companies say, "Oh, we're going to get that for $300 a night and charge you $150, a person." I'm like, why don't you just rent it yourself instead of paying some company that's going to have 15 people in there and make a fortune on this?
Yep.
And
Right.
be overrun.
That's this $250 deposit, $15 per person per hour place. One of these companies goes over there, and I'm sure they're cutting them a deal.
Yeah.
X amount of people pay this price or whatever. They're not doing the same as any public that wants to go in there, or a team that wants to go in there. It's,
Well, and the people, and the
disheartening.
people that they found to do the tours, at this place aren't even experienced.
They pulled them out of the crowd the first night. Oh, would you want to run this?
Oh, you know how to use an EMF meter. Do you want to take over? And it's like,
They're like, what's an EMF? What is that?
right? Yeah.
Is that the same thing as an EVP? Come on.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like the Warren's place isn't worth something more.
Right.
I use 350 as a baseline type thing. And some places can be worth more. Would I pay more to investigate the Warrens and add the Occult Museum? Yes.
Absolutely.
Am I going to pay $2,300? No.
We can't. We
So
live across the country. How is a smaller team supposed to do that? And people are going to say, oh, you just need to hustle. You just need to pay it, split it between people. But, regardless, it's still $2,300 a night.
We all just live in the wrong state. We don't live in Missouri or Texas where the people hit the Powerball last night. So
right.
Yeah. Other locations, we do a lot of local. We say we do local. We do some music venues in Colorado. We have the Knights of Pythias that is open to us here. Jason's night. So at any point we can go up there. We did an event recently with Unity again, where I invited actually 13 teams from 100 miles north of us in Torrington, Wyoming, to southern Colorado, and 6 teams came up. We did $25 per person, and that money went back to the Knights of Pythias. So these people were able to come in and investigate a location that everyone that was there had never been there before. We had one of our guests that's on here and someone we're working with locally, a demon folklorist, come in and do a 30-minute presentation. We had the place from 2 p.m. until 1 a.m. We booted them out for dinner. Like, you're getting out of here, because I know if I was open that long, I'm just staying here and I'm going to snack.
Yep.
Actually go eat something. So that's something big to us as a team, to throw that out there, that we are more than happy to work with someone one time. If it doesn't feel right, then hey, thanks for inviting us, and we'll keep in touch.
Yep.
And everyone that came was super awesome, and hey, come down here and investigate this place with us, and hey, come and do this. And they were working together, different people from different teams, and that's what we wanted. Don't just hang out with your team, split up, and everyone work, together. And everyone was super amazed at what that building had to offer. And we were able to do it as a donation to the Knights. And this is all paranormal investigators. We charge them $25. Some of these places could take a little, I'm trying to grab
Just
the word
go a
here.
little, give back to the community, right? It's not all a money grab.
Right.
You got these teams that are putting everything they have into, their investigations because they love it, not because we're getting rich off any of this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Penn
Yeah.
Paranormal.
Penn, we have you on Wednesday night. Thanks for coming in and watching and having something to say. I know you do quite a bit of stuff at like Garnet House, and I just saw you have something coming up. Shared that. Can't wait to talk to you guys Wednesday.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think we need to map out, when you're talking about the old park, we need to map out that and the Magnolia in Texas too. If you could hit both those, because the Magnolia hotel or whatever it is, the owners obviously live on the first floor. It's an Airbnb. I think it's 189 or 200 a night, but you've got the entire top floor, which half of it is not renovated, and there's 10 rooms in there to investigate.
Wow.
Oh wow.
So
that'd
if
be
that was
super.
if that was a close, between the two, that'd be a good, good little spot to hit two in one, one shot. So
Yeah, if it's on
Absolutely.
opposite sides of the state, then it takes you all day to
Oh,
drive
yeah.
there. Drove to Texas one time. I think the next time we fly to Galveston. So, and then let's look at, we go to like the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas. Again, another celebrity owned place who makes millions off of that place every year. And now you can get, what is it, 4 or 5 hours, and it's $200.
Yep. That's 200 a person though too.
Right. 200 a person. But that it's commercialized, and that's what you're going to pay.
Yep.
And that's what's happening over here.
I can't say that I've been to Vegas twice in the last year, and never have I once even thought about dropping $50 to go in there. I'm just like, nah.
You know what? We've been a few times. We took our kids out there, and to go through the museum, the tours are really cool. And a lot of the objects in there are super crazy. I think it's worth going through one time.
I got to spend my $50 on the resort fees out there they charge everywhere.
Right. God, I know.
Resort fees kill. Holy cow. It is crazy.
It's like, man, I'm not even going swimming or any of that stuff. I'm literally coming back and crashing. Like,
yeah, I'm already paying for your show tickets.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, going back to the collab thing, we really like it. We've found a team that we really like, XX Paranormal in Denver. We went down and did something with them. We invited them up here. Great bunch of gals. So yeah, the collab stuff does help you build some of those great friendships and help our community, the paranormal community, right? Our community.
Yep.
There's always going to be bad apples, unfortunately, in anything we do. And again, that just goes back to the same thing as like knowing someone's past. If you know that that's what they are, then that's not the kind of people you want to hang out with, and you just don't hang out with them.
Yep.
And
I think that's how, a lot of smaller communities are, right? Kind of self-purging, self-cleaning, right? Keeping trying to keep it honest and keep the right people in there. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of clashes all around lately. Like past couple of years have gotten pretty bad with all the back and forth and
Well, and
all the
that's,
drama.
you and I talked about it before we did this. Like, we're going to throw this out there and something could come on us. And I'm like,
Yep.
we're not,
Well,
we're
that's
not
fine.
talking about the guys. We're not talking about, Matt Rife is funny as crap. Like,
Yep.
Oh, he's
bust me
hilarious.
up,
His
I
crowd
don't
work
know
is
this
through the
Elton
roof.
guy, so I
You know,
can't judge.
And to be honest, we don't know. I mean, I help run the haunted house at the Knights every year, right? For the month of October, and insurance is insane. Maybe they're getting railroaded by insurance, and this is what they, have to do. But it's still whatever it comes down to. You're still asking $2,000 a night for a building.
I think I defended him a lot when he first bought this because my first thought was, well, if he had went and bought the Conjuring house and got that nutcase lady out of there, nobody would have said a word. They just thought Matt Rife is the greatest human being on earth
Savior.
because he
Yep.
got somebody out of here.
Yep.
Well,
But as soon as it became the Warren house, they're like, oh my God, they should kick them out of there. They should not let them in there. And I mean, he's been very upfront saying, look, we're doing this for the right reasons, even though, that was before the prices came out.
Right.
But now, the Conjuring house going up for sale. And I just happened to read Andrea Perrin stated today, she wouldn't say who she wanted to buy it, but she said, I have a guy in mind and I wish he would buy it. So I'm interested to see who she's pushing to buy that place. So,
well, just from the things I read and I hear on different podcasts, I really think her and Jason Hawes are pretty close. Everything I see and have heard from him, seems to be a down to earth guy who just wants the best for the community and that place. Cody and Satori were working there and they got a little, I don't know, I'm not there. I don't know what happened, but according to everything, they got a little shafted on the thing and some of the other employees didn't get paid. And,
Yep.
all you want is, and that's his kid. So what's he going to do? He's going to stand up for his kid,
Yep.
Is that next? Is that going to be a $2,300 a night rental next?
I hope not. I mean, when I got in there, like I said, Corey was still the owner and it was $125 a person, whether it was one person or 10 people.
Right.
And then they jumped it, right off the bat when she took it over to 960 or something like that a night.
Oh my God.
And so, you hope that's not the case, but it kind of makes you wonder if Jason does buy it and say, okay, we're going to open it back up for $1,500 a night, then what does people think of him? So you got to, it's a devil's advocate depending on if you buy it and what you actually want to spend, charge.
Right.
Yep.
And then it goes back to that too. Like well, here's the thing too. 100 people bought this and they bought it out in 2 days.
Yeah.
How can you stop them from wanting to charge that amount now? You can't.
Right.
The thing is, you don't buy it. You don't go there, but everyone has to stick together to do that, right? To get the prices down.
Yep.
But when it sells out in 2 days,
Yep.
The next 100 nights will go in a day and they're going to be like, oh, because of this, now it's 2,500 a night.
Right.
Squeeze another 200 out of people, right?
Yep.
So when does it stop? It stops when people all stick together and say, we need to not do anything with this building.
Yep.
I mean, obviously I've not been because it's hard to try to find people that want to pay $200 a night for a place, but Trans Allegheny is one of my top 3 bucket locations. But again, you've got a place that massive. There's 19 buildings on the property. So 1,800 to 2,000 a night for that place for, 8 or 10 people is not crazy. But again, it's hard to try to find people to pay the money to go. So.
Right. And we've talked about that with like Brushy too.
Brushy is like my number one. He knows, he was just saying it.
Yep.
You're 15 for a night. 1,500.
But you have access to how many square, how many 100,000 square feet, of property. I mean, you could spend a week there and probably not hit everything
that you can't cover in a night. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember years ago that Alcatraz had a lottery and it was $2,000 to investigate and they only took 5 teams a year.
I remember that.
So I wish they would kind of bring that back up, but that's kind of went out the door. But
I don't know. I wouldn't want to go to San Francisco hearing about everything that's going on out there. Like you park in the parking lot to get on the ferry for Alcatraz. You come back and all your windows are busted out and everything's,
I was there last January and everybody was telling me that because I stayed down near the pier. And it was funny to listen to people. I walked everywhere. I walked to Chinatown and walked everywhere else, but it was funny to hear people tell you, like, be careful, because all this stuff happening out there. I mean, the only thing I saw happen was a guy in a Tesla hit a girl riding a bicycle because he didn't see the stop sign. But I'm just like, it's just crazy to think in San Francisco, you wouldn't think with all the other places in California that would be the place that people were destroyed and robbing and everything else. So
right.
It's like when we went to Baltimore, we were over at Poe's grave, and we saw a dude like staggering down the street, and then he got tagged by a car. Chick got out. They did a little drug deal, and they both went on their way. And I mean, this happened probably 25 yards from us.
He wasn't staggering, man. He had like the stiff arm robot walk. Yeah. And he was. Oh, it was a lot. And then come to find out, like, that area isn't even the best. And I'm like, really? It's like the VA is right here. The church is right here. You have, and it's.
Jason probably has that look that I have when I took a friend of mine to DC and we stayed in Arlington because her daughter wanted to go to the Smithsonian. And so we'd ride the train from Arlington down to where Lincoln Center was or whatever. And the first day we got off the train and walked up the stairs, there was a guy there on a bicycle and he's like, how you all doing today? And I just looked at him because I'm like, I've just got that RBF whenever I'm obviously in a different place.
Yep.
And he's like, can I help you all with anything? And you just get that feeling, he's kind of shady looking character. And they were like, no. And he looked at me, he's like, are you all right, man? I was like, yeah, I'm good. He's like, you're in the military. You got a face of a bulldog. and he's like, y'all have a good day. And every time we got off the train, the next time he saw us, hey, nice to see y'all again. Have a good day. Like, whatever he might have been thinking, he was just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna leave this one alone. So.
Yep.
We did DC when we were out there too. And Jason and I were both on the alert of watching just people in those bigger cities. I mean, we're from Wyoming, we're good old boys. We're 65,000 people, in our town, and it's nothing big, but he's former military, I was fire, EMS. Like, we have different things that we look for, and we just kind of like look at each other and nod and we're good and, make sure everyone else in the group is good, and we'll keep moving and go this way, and it's what you do when you're with your group, right?
I tell you, the place that had me on edge was Leakin Park.
Leakin Park.
Leakin Park is insane. Was it 80 bodies found or something like that in the past 20 years?
Yeah, they say if you dig to bury a body, you'd find a body.
You'll find another one. Yeah. And the parking spot, we chose this place to park to, get out and just check it out. And turns out, there was a burned down car. Everything was melted into the pavement. We looked it up, and like 2 years ago, a guy was shot in the back of the head and they burned the car down right there. It's like, wow, stories are true here. It's like, you can't even go to the parking lot without finding a murder scene.
That makes me wonder. I'm a sports car collector, and they're going to have the Nationals in 2 years in Detroit. I'm like, is that really where you want to take your sports cars to sell? Is Detroit like? You got to hire somebody to walk you into the building where you're going to sell your cars so they don't get stolen.
Right.
Yeah. Holy crap.
I want to touch on a comment over here from Penn Paranormal. Similar to Missouri State Penitentiary, it's a pretty penny, but it's massive. If you're still in here, how much is Missouri State to rent? That's it's.
I want to say it's 900 or 1,000 because it's one of the places I want to go to because I think they don't touch on the main. I mean, the main person I think of is Charles. I think it's Charles Ray Thatcher or Hatcher. At one point, this guy was like he hung himself in his cell, but he was considered like the most serial killer / robbery person outside of Jesse James for a long time.
Huh.
And they never talk about him, at all when it comes to tours and stuff out there.
I just think that's in that 12 to 13 hour drive for us. If it's something that like a few of us that we've had on the show want to try to meet up and rent somewhere like that. And if it's that massive, everyone has their own spot. That could be something cool for like a unraveling meetup or something. And
Yeah.
Everyone splits the price, you know.
I think that's is
Yeah,
that the
meet
place
up,
they
go
say that's the.
investigate.
I think that's the. I don't know if it's the place that says the bloodiest 47 acres or something like that.
Oh, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 1,200, you know, if we did some kind of meetup and all that, that wouldn't be horrible.
Yeah.
Some that, Wow and Unraveling could look at. We could bring guests from here and do some kind of meetup. That'd be fun.
I'll look
that would
into
be
it
a
and see because
blast.
I've always wanted to go there. I'll look into it and see myself because I haven't looked at it in a little while. I know the Rate Chasers were just there this
I was just
past
getting ready to
weekend.
say, yeah, I know they do some stuff there, and yeah, it'd be cool to get out and see. I went on a cruise and Mike was on it. It was a paranormal cruise and got to meet him and hang out and stuff. And Chris unfortunately couldn't make it. He had to cancel, but um, I'm in talks with Mike to hopefully get him on the show too. But yeah, Race Chaser guys are pretty cool.
Yeah, they're good
Again,
guys.
it's that separation of doing an event and doing a place. Like they have awesome events. You know, when they get around Virginia, Lyle and Tana and Brandon with Haunted Nights help them out and do some stuff. And Lyle and Brandon do their filming for the Ghost Mob that they've done recently. And it's those guys are pretty cool dudes, you know, but goes back to event and building. And if they just make the buildings a little more affordable. And I get when you're looking at the penitentiaries, like or the asylums or the stuff we don't have out here in the West.
Yeah.
When it's a bigger building, they want to charge more because if you go flipping on lights and all that kind of stuff, I get all that, but it still can be a little more reasonable, I feel.
I will tell you this because I was at back in 2020 before I came back home to the Conjuring House. I did the Ancient Ram Inn over in England, and you know they're charging almost 3,000 a night for that place now.
Holy cow.
Holy cow.
Because I sent the owner a message because my friends we were talking about, hey, let me come back over. It's like let's go back and check it out again, you know, because they're just like an hour drive away. And he sent me the price list, and literally he's got it broken up where you could rent the downstairs or the upstairs separate. I'm like, why would you do it like that for? Like
Yeah.
it makes no and the barn part like separate. It was all separate, or you can pay this one price for the entire place. And I was like, there's no way that anybody's renting the place out.
Yeah.
And there's just one
figure it.
there's just one company over there that does location rentals. It's Haunted Happenings. I don't know of anybody else over there that actually does stuff. And you know, they've got, you know, millions of places over there that you'd never see. And it just seems like to me, outside of one TV show that's over there, you know, they've got the most haunted locations anywhere, and nobody does events or anything. They've got like 4 locations they investigate, and that's it.
Yep.
Well, and it all kind of falls back on that, doesn't it? Like the whole paranormal TV thing.
Oh yeah, the
Ghost hunters, ghost adventures, you know, all these people start going in these places and then they leave and they post their episode, it's on TV. Then people are like, oh, I want to go there. And now it's a cash cow, right?
Yep.
exactly.
But you know, someday when I can afford to buy a place, hopefully I can just make it affordable for someone. You know, that team that's like, we would really like to go here. Oh, and hey, look, we can afford that place. So and
You
that's
know,
what
and you and I have had that talk with you know, a location that we have access to here that, you know, we could start charging, you know, people to come in at night. And like not once have we ever discussed, you know, going over, I think 200 or 300 a night. And that's, you know, 3 floors, you know, whole bunch of artifacts in there, you know, like
right.
it's
Yeah.
it's a decent sized building. And yeah, like, you know, just enough to help keep the lights on and, you know, buy the person that, you know, lets the team in and gives the tour a coffee or something. That's it.
Right. Yep. So, you know, these guys aren't going to watch this. But you know, if everyone was to sit together and be like, hey, we can't do that. You know, you guys need to make it more affordable for people, especially coming across the country. But it's not, that also is not going to happen. You know, we know people are going to want to get in, they're going to pay what they pay.
Yep. Well, that and the
So,
media control. I mean, you know, if we're going to come in there and film, you're not going to tell me what I can put out. And
Right.
that's something I put my foot down on.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
you're gonna
I
get
I
too
can
much
see
stuff.
making sure you're not faking evidence, you know, something like that. But number one, I'm not paying for you to go through my footage. Like, not
Well,
gonna
why do they
happen.
want it? Why do they want to go through?
Right.
Like, are you faking something that we
Right.
caught?
Right.
You know, is it the other
Yep.
way? So
It makes you wonder with all the nonsense you see on TikTok and all these other stream services. It's like, are these people going to be like, okay, we'll not film it on our own and we'll go pay the money for them to review it, or are they going to be so egotistical and like, you know what, fine, we'll just stick to what we're doing, which may eventually throw them out the loop that says, hey, we're not going to charge this review stuff anymore. Because again, if you're paying that kind of money, you should have the right just to do what you want with it.
Yep. And that's one problem I've had with the museum in Vegas is you're paying to go in there and do an investigation, but there's no video recording allowed. I still don't understand that. You're allowed to do audio recordings all night, just no video.
yeah, high prices for only a few hours is crazy, is what Glenda just said. And that's
Yep.
what we're getting at. In their video review stuff, here's one of the comments that they have. We've had a lot to deal with, absurd amounts of fabricated stories such as Annabelle is missing, that have forced us to place a review policy on all content to prevent this from happening again, especially if created from within the property. Unfortunately, this is now a mandatory step for us to have in place for all content creators due to such issues.
So does that mean they should go and, since they own Annabelle, they should sue everybody that's put a video out saying Annabelle's missing or Annabelle burnt that house
Almost
down?
sounds like that's what they want to do.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, it's just, and the thing is, the part in here, like, have respect for, and, I feel like most teams or most people that are going in are going to have that respect for the location because of who it was. Again, both sides of the coin on who they were and what they did, but still, you have to look at it as they are paranormal community pioneers.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, and that's a historical site as far as the paranormal
Right.
world goes.
yeah, and everyone has their opinion again, but it's still, they were pioneers that you put them in there with Holzer and all those people that did this kind of stuff way back then.
Yep.
So I would hope that most people going in there would have that respect for the place just because of that too. But
I think something that sticks out to me about that location, and I don't know if it'll happen or not because Matt Rife has a lot of money, but you think at the end of 5 years, I was just thinking about this the other day. What happens if things don't work out or whatever, and Tony and Judy decide to just sell everything, like sell everything that Ed and them had, all those papers, everything else, what kind of crazy amounts of money they're going to be flying around just to have, something from them.
I couldn't imagine the auction prices for some of that stuff.
Right.
right. Yeah, and that's what I've gathered from this too. Like, the items were not part of the purchase.
Yeah.
They were
And
just
the purchase,
overseers.
the purchase thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because, you have the museum as a lease or whatever they call it. I'm like, how do you buy part of a property? And then, obviously it's, unless you're somebody that's in the know up there, you're not going to get a price out anywhere what they paid. But
Right.
it just sounds like there was a lot of red tape there when they got this, to where I don't think it's been fully explained by anybody of actually how that all went down. And maybe never will be.
Just kind of reading a few things, like it sounds like the property, the house, and then the museum building, because that would be property. And then they're like leasing the museum itself and the items.
Yeah.
So
It's a weird setup. However they wrote that up. I'd like to see the contract on that to see.
Yeah.
I can just imagine the amount of lawyers that probably looked at that are crazy.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think we got out what we wanted to. Hopefully we can see what happens. I mean, we're going to see that it's going to be that or more in the future. maybe some of these newer places will make it a little more affordable. Although you're talking 800 this month, 900 next month, and 1,000 next year
I
for
mean, that's
a
and
squatter building.
it's a big building. I mean, I was looking at purchasing a hospital here in Kentucky quite a few years ago, and I couldn't get the owner to come away with it, and the city finally took it away from her. And the amount of money I was going to have to put in it just to make sure people didn't break into it like they used to in the back windows in the back of this hospital was going to be astronomical. So I don't know why. This is a 74,000 square foot hospital,
Right.
and why you open a place up that you automatically put on the page, hey, we had the police here the other day, we found squatters, and I'm like, but you're going to open it up in 2 weeks to investigation teams
Yeah.
for this kind of money and expect people to just be coming in droves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one, a place where you can't feel safe in there, and then number two, if people have access and there's suspected squatters, you're throwing away all your evidence if you're,
Exactly.
if you give a damn about what you're putting out, oh, what were those footsteps? Oh, it was some dude up there shooting up.
This is the best.
Yeah,
This
seems
is
safe.
Seems safe.
this is the best shadow figure I've ever seen. He almost looks
Right.
real.
Yeah, look, he's staggering like a zombie down the hall. Holy crap!
Yeah. One of these nights we'll discuss shadow figures and Dumas and shadow
Yeah.
figures are crazy.
Yeah,
That's the most movement I've seen anywhere. Yeah,
first
we'll
place
do a
you were ever
Dumas
touched.
I was
breakdown
starting to
with
say,
the girls.
did anybody feel violated?
Aaron was violated.
Within the first, okay, another thing. Gina did a solo downstairs, like right out the gate, right? We go in, I'm upstairs, she's downstairs, and she's getting ready to leave. And yeah, something grabbed her butt. So this was the first place I have ever been touched. And it was not one time, it was lots of times. I posted a picture on my page about the shortest Estes session that I've ever done. And Michelle and I went under, it was 2 minutes. I was done.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, and we do
I was
30
touched
minute
3 times. I was in it was nuts. It's a cool place. We'll do an episode about it.
Jason feel jealous? He wasn't getting all the love?
Right? Yeah, I got a little love that night, not a whole lot.
Jason, thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always good to see you. Always
brother.
always
Good to
like
see
reading
you.
all your stuff and seeing all your stuff on Facebook too. So
Oh,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah, you were a great guest, and we have been pretty lucky that the majority of the people we've had on, 99%, have been awesome guests. We have some good ones laid out. We have our 1-year anniversary episode coming up in October. Wednesday, we have Penn Paranormal over here. I'm excited to talk to them. I know they do quite a bit of stuff in Kansas. I want to talk about the Garnet Hotel. I've watched one of your lives over there, so that was pretty cool. Dinner's on the stove, and I'm hungry. So, Jason, thanks for coming on.
thanks,
We'll
guys.
catch up with you later.
All right. Have a good night.
We'll see y'all on Wednesday.
See you guys.
All right, Jason. It is what it is. They're going to charge what they want. We can sit here and do what we
Rant
do.
and rave all we want. Yep.
Biggest thing is, if people want prices to come down, we just need to not visit somewhere for
just simple
if
as
you
that.
cut them out for 2 or 3 months, they'd fill it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And with teams like our size, we're 4 people. It's $2,000 a night. Around there. That's a big hit.
Yeah. Yep.
So we'll have to find places that are more affordable and kind of more aligned with what we do.
Yep. We like those more historic places anyway, and being able to tell stories. So.
Yep.
We love the story side of it too.
Yep. Love the history. That's why we love Dumas so much. That was a cool town. Just the whole town of Butte was, the history there. We didn't get to tour the Cabbage Patch, but, just going and seeing, that Cabbage Patch area and how they lived. And it was something else.
Yep. We're going to pick one of these days of October and bring the girls in and do a breakdown of the investigation and talk about that.
Yeah, that'll be good. Cool.
Everyone over
All
there
right.
in the chat, thank you for commenting tonight, and thank you for coming in and listening to us rant a little bit, and hopefully you pick something out, and we got to pick something out from you too over here. Missouri State Penitentiary sounds like it could be a fun place to do a
Yeah, have to look into
unraveling
that
or
one.
a WoW unraveling combo thing.
Yep. Heck yeah.
All right,
All
everyone.
right. Well, we will see y'all Wednesday night with Penn Paranormal.
Good night.
Unraveling the Darkness would like to thank Horn Paranormal Research and Twinkle Twinkle Little Store for sponsoring our show. If you're craving more paranormal content, don't forget to check out our YouTube and Facebook channels at Way Out West Paranormal and Unraveling the Darkness. You can catch all of our episodes of Unraveling the Darkness on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe as it helps others find the show and join in on the paranormal fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep your lights on, stay safe, and remember, the truth is out there, and it might just be closer than you think.